I said, we are at day 85, 84, whatever it is of the lockout. The players and owners are meeting on a daily basis now.
Daily.
The first 80 days of the lockout, they chose to meet only 7 times over that period. I think that added up to maybe a total of an hour, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah, there were somewhere they met for like, hey, it was almost like you ran into an old friend on the street and then parted ways. That was like the extent of the meeting.
I mean, every time they came out of those meetings, it was either one side was saying they were unimpressed, or the other side was saying they were underwhelmed. And that's essentially the same news we're getting every day out of these ramped up meetings this week. Everyone is either unimpressed or underwhelmed. I guess I'm not too surprised. I mean, again, we've talked about this forever. It's the shit show to end all shit shows. And all those S's are actually dollar signs because this is all about money.
Money.
Called this for 3 years. The battle between millionaires and billionaires that no one gives a shit about, other than those parties involved. We've heard rumblings that there will be a universal DH. We've heard what else? I'm drawing a blank already on the little progress we did have, but
wasn't it? They added playoffs, right?
No, not yet. That comes down to revenue, actually. So
right.
They can't add that.
Right.
They added a draft lottery, which right now it's either between the worst 3 teams or the worst 4 teams to address competitive play, unfair or teams that aren't trying to play to win. They're trying to address that, which is a cool thing, I guess.
I thought the players though want 8 teams, which they lowered to 7 today. So
yeah.
So we're between 3, folks. It's between 3 and 7. That one feels like we're getting closer. We're getting closer.
Well, and that seems to be the syndrome of this entire negotiation because
we started here. Now we're here.
Well, I mean, to kind of quantify that for people on a podcast and not on a video.
Sorry, you can't. For those of you who can't visualize it, I've moved my hands from 5 inches apart to 4.95 inches apart.
Well, it seems like, I mean, if just to put in random numbers, if they're $1 million apart or $100 million apart, it seems like the owners will come to the players with a deal that's puts them $95 million apart.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, the players will come back, or vice versa, will come back with a deal that puts them $110 million apart because they're pissed off about it. So we just keep, taking maybe a tiny step forward and steps backwards just because there's so much acrimony and they're just not interested in getting anything done at this point. The reason they're meeting every day this week is because they've set the arbitrary deadline that we will start to lose. We will lose opening day if we can't get an agreement by February 28th.
Yes, we are
February.
5 days away, folks.
5 days away. So that is where this false sense of urgency is coming from. That's to get a full 30 days of spring training. Actually, it wouldn't even be. It'd be 2 weeks. 7 to 10 days probably to get everyone into camp, all the free agents signed, and then start spring training. So it's probably a couple weeks there, but I think that's still kind of an arbitrary day. I believe opening day is supposed to be March 31st. So that's where the 30 days comes from.
It seems players are in the areas though. So some players are like, they've like moved. They're like in Arizona. A lot of players already.
I think it's more the business side of it where all those 100+ free agents need to get signed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that you're 100% correct. That's going to be the madness.
Well,
this flips.
Yeah, it's going to be a fucking blast when we do actually get an agreement, because that's going to be fucking crazy how that's going to play out. Just similar to the arbitrary December 1st deadline that we saw a free agent frenzy happening in late November. That was fun to watch. So that's something to look forward to if we can finally navigate through all this shit. But
I mean, I have in front of me because Jeff Passan posted this at 4:06 today. After they met today, here's this is sit back, relax, and chuckle. This is what we're off on the CBT. They're apart by $31 million.
CBT is, by the way, collective, or it's the competitive balance tax, which is also referred to as a luxury tax, which that's what I normally call it. So I don't know why there's two terms for the same thing, but that's what that is. And then, by the way, that's the only I was going to get to that in a minute, but that's the only thing that matters. Everything else they're talking about doesn't matter. Even all the money issues, none of that matters, because what the other money issues are cutting up the same pie.
Right, exactly.
What the players are trying to do, to raising the CBT or the luxury tax, makes it a bigger pie. So, everything else is basically bullshit. They can keep arguing about those things over and over again, but it's still, they're arguing over how to slice up that same sized pie, whether it's the younger players or older players, or how that works out is, the big name players or the minimum salary players. It's still going to be limited by that luxury tax, the de facto salary caps.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why it's amazing to me that hasn't even been broached in these negotiations, because it is the most important thing. So they can't, they can try to work out all this other stuff, but it doesn't matter unless they expand that luxury tax. The other thing that the owners have done that is disgusting to me is they've actually, they may have in some of their proposal, they may have given a small increase to the CBT, but the penalties for going over that are more severe in their new system. So there's even less of an opportunity for, we've seen teams go over 1 or 2 years over the threshold and pay the tax. But now the punitive measures would be such that I don't think you'd ever see a team go over necessarily. Or if they do, it would be very briefly. It wouldn't be as lenient as you've seen now. So a de facto salary cap becomes a real salary cap, which is what the players have been fighting against all along. So if they're going to agree to that, it has to be a much higher number, closer to what the players proposed, like 245 million, I think is the last one I saw. And the owners are around, right around what it's been, 210, 208 to 212.
I thought it was automatically like going up this year. I think with the $30 million difference. So like just doing the math, I think it was going to be around 220-ish or something. Well, I'm not positive, but
yeah, regardless, it needs to go up considering revenues have increased, and considering, just everything, inflation and everything else. It needs to go up.
Revenues increased with the biblical proportions that owners have lost. I mean, that's straight out of this. That's that's about 20 minutes from where I'm at right now. I know there's biblical losses over there. In fact, I've seen the Red Sea part over there. It's weird, but to Smitty's point, the next two numbers I'm going to give out don't really matter because it's all coming out of the same pie, but things that are worth mentioning because these are things that are pushed out to the press to make us make those who don't really understand everything that's going on, that Smitty perfectly explained. Could divert us to other things. So the pre-arbitration bonus, they're off by $95 million on that. So that's a huge issue. And then minimum salary is all the way down to only $135K off. So that's something I think if you get that CBT within striking distance, which I honestly believe, I don't know how you feel about this. I kind of think if they can get that number cut in half, we can get a deal done. I don't know how long. Are they required to have a 5-year deal, or can they just do it for 3 years if they want to?
They can do anything they want.
Yeah, they can do anything they want.
Collectively bargain. Whatever the two parties agree to is what it is. And they have more time. They said February 28th is the deadline, but because they don't want to miss opening day. The problem is the owners have no problem missing the opening day
Well, they're
because
going to forfeit pay and stuff like that.
well, the players will forfeit pay. They'll be apparently losing $20 million a day collectively, which I did the math on that. There's a
Oh,
hundred.
look
If
at you.
there's 1,200 major league players, 40 man roster players. That's about $17,000 a day per player. Of course, that's not
Yeah.
proportional since Max Scherzer is going to be losing a hell of a lot more than a lot of other people will per
I
day.
mean,
But
he
he'll
showed
be
up in
all
his
right.
he showed up in his Porsche today, so
The problem is
I'm not worried about him.
the way this works out is the owners aren't going to lose a dime if we
Nope.
lose a few weeks. They will. I mean, technically they will. They'll lose opening day revenue and however many days after that. But March 31st is not an optimal time to go watch baseball. The first few weeks of April are not, and the owners, they can give up a few games where there'd be 10, 15,000 people in the crowd. They're not too concerned about that, especially when they're trying to negotiate expanded playoffs. And that is
Playoffs.
where the owners will make anything they lose off these first few weeks. If we don't get to opening day, they will make all that back and then some. If they're proposing a 14 team playoff between just literally gate revenue, but mainly television revenue, which
Yep.
is incredible levels of revenue that do not go to the players whatsoever. That money is all to the owners for playoff share, for playoff revenue. So that is why I'm a little bit pessimistic, as you might be optimistic. I'm pessimistic to that because the owners have no interest in negotiating quickly because they don't give a fuck about these first couple weeks as long as they get covered on the back end.
That's as most people are. I agree. That's something I didn't really consider when I made my comments earlier, but you're right.
Well, I appreciate your optimism. We need to have some optimism on this podcast.
I just feel like never mind. I always give the owners just a little too much credit that they actually give a shit about people like you and I, the people that, but they have so much. I think what a lot of people don't realize is them owning a baseball team is just a small portion of their fucking portfolio.
That's what I was just going to bring up. These are toys to most owners. If you think about the Ricketts, that is Tom Ricketts' baby, but his family is from Ameritrade, which is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They're going to be fine no matter what happens with a couple games in April for the Cubs, one way or the other.
I mean, the last time we covered, like, they were like the number 8 or something richest family in all of the U.S. So
I mean, I'll take it to the Tigers. The Ilitch family does not make their money from the Tigers and the Red Wings. They make their money from pizza, from shitty pizza, Little Caesars.
From shitty pizza is correct.
Congratulations to them. People love shitty pizza. So, but you could go through all the owners across Major League Baseball.
Yeah,
they're not concerned about a little bit of revenue from a few weeks in April or even maybe longer. They have the war chest to wait this out, which is just depressing, and I don't want to bring us down anymore. But
maybe we should move this forward then.
I mean, you mentioned the minimum salaries and other kind of minutia, and that brings
the draft lottery shit. But.
Word Hole Media.